Hello, everyone. I apologize for the delay. Um, Thank you for joining me tonight. So my name is Catherine from SEB Housing, and tonight I'm going to run the lottery for the 2 affordable condominiums at Beachpoint Crossing in Salisbury. So I'll get the lottery underway in just a few moments. First, just want to mention if you have any questions during this session, you can go ahead and ask them in the chat feature in Zoom, or you can unmute yourself. When you came into the meeting, you were muted just to minimize any outside noise. But if you have a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know. Just going to give you some background information on the lottery. Oh, I should mention as well that this is being recorded for anybody who was not able to join us tonight, and it will be posted to SEB Housing's YouTube channel. So you should have received that prompt when you came into the meeting. So some background information on the lottery or the applicant pool that we have tonight. All this information is going to be given to you in a attachment to an email tonight, so no need to write any of it down. So there's 2 affordable condos that will be made available to applicants or buyers who have a total household income at or below 80% of the area median income. So we received a total of 28 completed applications for the lottery. So there's going to be 28 households in this lottery tonight. 6 households indicated that they had local preference. So those are households who either live in Salisbury or work full-time within the town. All households who are in this lottery should already have a lottery application number. So that was the number that is in the form of a series of numbers. So in this case, your lottery number is between A.001 and A.028 because we have 28 households in the lottery. So if you don't have that, if you forgot it, let me know. That is the number that I'm going to be calling out during the lottery. We're not going to be saying your name for privacy purposes. It will be that number. And then when I send the sorted waiting list to you later on tonight, that is the number you'll be looking for on the waiting list as well. So back when you completed your lottery application, you will have indicated on that application, and we will have confirmed that you were either a type 1 or type 2 household. That's usually based on your household size, how many household members you have living with you. So keep in mind that these are 2-bedroom condos. So type 2 households are going to have priority for these condos over any type 1 household. And that's because the affordable housing program is designed so that households don't have priority for units with more bedrooms than their family might actually require. There is local preference for one of the affordable homes. So if you answered yes to the local preference question on your lottery application, you are going to need to provide verification of that priority. You will have preference on one of the waiting lists, the local preference waiting list, but after the lottery, you will still need to submit verification that you either live in Salisbury or you work full-time within the town. And that'll be later on if you are one of the top households on the waiting list who is being invited forward to submit all of your income verification and all of that. So when the drawings take place tonight, you're not going to know exactly where you fall on the waiting list if you're attending this lottery, even if you're drawn first, even if you're the first person drawn in any of these waiting lists. And that's because we at SEB Housing still need to sort the results based on priorities. So local priority, but then also your household size. If a type 1 household is pulled first, they're not going to have the first position on the waiting list because they will be behind type 2 households. So I'm going to sort the results right after the meeting tonight. So you should receive a email from me. The email will actually be from info@sebhousing.com, but that will have the sorted waiting list results. So you won't have to wait too long to get that. So there's going to be 2 drawings tonight. The first is going to be the local preference drawing, which is going to include the applicants who have selected local or have indicated that they have local preference. And then the second is going to be the general drawing that includes everyone, all households who applied for this lottery and were approved. That was 28 households. When I start the drawings, I have a lottery box next to me, and then I have these note cards here that have each of your lottery application numbers on them. So I'm going to be placing for each of the drawings, I'll be placing the note cards in the lottery box here. Everything has been shuffled. We'll shuffle it up again to make it as random as possible. And I'll show the number to you so you can see it on camera, and I'll just quickly record. I'm going to jot down the numbers just so it's easier for me to know the order, and that'll be it. So before those two drawings, the local preference drawing and the general drawing, I do have to do a preliminary local preference minority drawing. So I'm going to start out with that. It should only take a minute. And the reason for this drawing is because in this lottery, there was not a significant number of minority households or applicants who identified as being minority on their lottery application in the local preference pool. And the Affordable Housing Program rules require that the local preference pool needs to be at least as high, the percentage of minorities in the local preference pool need to be at least as high as the minority group in the surrounding area. So in this case, the Boston area where Salisbury falls is 33.4% minority. There were 6 households who qualified for local preference, but only one of those households indicated on their application that they belong to a minority group. So 1 of 6 is only 16%, so that's lower than that 33.4 threshold that we're required to have in the local preference drawing. So to start out, the first thing I'm going to do is that minority drawing. There were 9 total households in this lottery that identified on their application that they were a minority group, and one of those was a local preference household. So the lottery numbers for the 9 minority households who were not already part of the local preference group, they're going to be placed in this lottery box first. I already have those numbers set aside here. And I'm going to pick 2 of those numbers. And those 2 numbers are going to be added to the local preference pool. Then that will mean that we now have the required number of minority households in the local preference pool. So that will be 3 of 8 households, which is 37.5%, and that's greater than the minority percentage. Then we will be able to proceed with our local preference drawing. So I know a lot of this may sound confusing. These are program requirements. All of this is going to be written up for you in the one of the attachments that I send to you tonight. So you'll be able to take a look at that. You may have already seen a little bit of information on this, how local preference and minority drawings work in the information packet as well. So like I said, following the lottery tonight, you're going to get an email which includes next steps in the process and also a summary of some of the information that I am mentioning tonight. The lottery results from tonight, along with the waiting list, are going to be attached to that email. When you receive that notice with the waiting list, you're going to see that the top households on the waiting list have been highlighted in green. And that's because those are the households who are going to be called forward to move on to the next step in the process, which is submitting income asset tax documentation to us. Because remember, in order to enter this lottery, you hadn't already submitted that information. You had just self-reported what your income was or what your income is on the lottery application. So even though there's only 2 affordable condos, SEB is going to be moving forward with inviting 6 total applicants to move forward in this process. And so you might wonder why we would do that if there's only 2 homes available. And we do that because, you know, a lot of times when we are looking for buyers, there's households who either do not qualify in the end or decide not to move forward with purchasing the home. So just keep in mind that you may be invited to submit your income verification and local preference verification if applicable. You might be approved, but you may still not be able to move forward with buying one of these homes if you're not one of the top households on the waiting list. If you're the top household on the waiting list, on either of the waiting lists, you are going to be the first person who has priority to purchase one of these homes. Granted, you still have to submit all the verifications of your income and all of that. So if you're invited to move forward in the process, you're going to have about 10 days to submit all of that information to us. There was a documentation requirements guide that was sent to you back when you received your lottery application number. So hopefully you've been able to begin to gather some of that information. So you have a folder of, pay stubs and tax returns and things like that that you can just send over to us when the time comes. If you're not one of those top households on the waiting list who is highlighted in green, you're not going to be moving forward at this time. However, you might be contacted at a later date if the households ahead of you on the waiting list end up dropping out or not purchasing one of the homes. So just keep that in mind. If you have any questions, it's been a few weeks and you were number 3 on the list and you want to know if you're going to be moving forward, you can always shoot us an email and we can let you know where we are in the process. So I'm ready to start the drawings. Does anyone have any questions before I start? All right. So I'm going to start with the minority drawing, like I mentioned. So the note cards for households who indicated that they are part of a minority group, but were not already in the local preference drawing. And here they are. These are the cards for those households. And this is the lottery box here. I'm going to put them into the box. I'm going to shake them around, even though I mentioned they were already shuffled. So I'm going to be pulling out 2 numbers because those are the households that are going to be added to the local list. Number 1, 001. Just writing these down here. And then the second household that will be added to the list is 006. Okay. For these other drawings, local preference drawing and the general drawing, I'm going to be pulling out all of the numbers. Give me one moment here. And then eventually, once I do the general drawing, we're going to have every lottery number included. Well, that will be 28 households. So next is the local preference drawing. I'm going to be drawing 8 numbers. These are the 8 cards here. They're going into the lottery box. I'm going to put the top on here. And this is the local preference drawing. So this is giving me an order of priority in terms of the local preference household. And remember that there is a local preference waiting list because there is one condo that will have local preference. And the first number I drew was 13. So A.013. Number 6 again. Number 1. 16. 23. 10. 12. And the last local preference number that I'm pulling out here is 18. That was the local preference drawing. Now all of these note cards are going into the general drawing pile here, and there'll be 28 numbers to pull. And this is the general drawing. Everyone who is a part of this lottery should hear their number over the next couple minutes, just shuffling them up again. Here are the cards going in. So this will take a few moments here because we have 28 numbers to pull. And the first number that I'm pulling out of the box here for the general drawing is number 3. Number 22. Number 1. $13. 16. 17. 11. 'Remember, these haven't been sorted yet. This is just the order of the lottery drawing. 18. 21. 6. 20. 20. 27. 25. 10. 23. 2 more. 5. 19. 15. 26. 4. 28. 7. 8. 24. 12. 9. 2 more here. 14. And then the last lottery application number here in the general drawing for Beachpoint Crossing is number 2. So that was the general drawing. Again, these results need to be sorted now. So I'm going to work on that. You will get an email from info@sdbhousing.com within the next few hours. It will have a few attachments to it, one of them being the waiting list, the sorted waiting list. You will look for your lottery application number, the one that I just called. And if it's highlighted in green, you'll be invited forward over the next couple days to submit your verification. So your income asset documentation, that sort of thing, to move forward to the next step in this process, which is to be program certified for the affordable housing program. And then it'll give you, there'll also be another attachment with some information about the lottery pool and some of the details that I just mentioned. Does anyone have any questions on the drawing or anything else before we wrap up?
Yes, I do.
Sure.
Hi. So you said you're gonna invite 6 people for to submit app. Does it now within those 6 people, are you going with the first 2 would be priority and then like the 6 would be last priority, or do you mix it all 6 all together? And
there's going to be 2 waiting lists. One waiting list has local priority. The other waiting list does not have local priority. So it's just by the general drawing that we just did. So there'll be 3 people moving forward from each of those lists. So when you get the waiting list tonight, you'll see that there's 3 numbers highlighted in green on each of the 2 lists.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Good question. Anyone else? All right, so look out for that email tonight. If you have any questions on that, obviously you can reply to that as well, and we can get back to you in the morning. And yeah, I appreciate all of you tuning in, and I wish you the best of luck. Have a good evening.